Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today. This is Michael Halper, and this is the webinar focused on how to decrease sales staff turnover and all the costs that come with it. Let's just jump right in. And first of all, I want to actually start out by telling you turnover is something that happens in every sales organization, right? I mean, salespeople come, salespeople go. You either have a high level of turnover or, you're never going to get rid of turnover altogether, right? In any employment organization. But there are things you can do to decrease turnover. And what we're going to go through here today is we're not going to necessarily give you a magic bullet, a magic pill that you can take and it's just going to chop in half. We're going to go through the standard things that you can do, and these are real things that you can implement to have a real impact on your level of turnover. Now, what I would ask you is be patient with us, right? Because we're actually probably going to talk about topics that you're either doing today already or there are concepts that you're familiar with. What I would hope that you get out of this is either confirmation that you're doing a lot of the right things, or that you can leave this session with 2 or 3 things that you want to add to your sales organization to drive a positive result. I'm a firm believer that I'll read a book that might be 300, 400, 500 pages on sales or any self-improvement topic. And most of the book might be garbage. But if I can take 2 or 3 tips from that book, reading that book is worth it. And so that's what I want you to focus on, is try to find those 2 or 3 things that we're going to talk about here today that you can add. And all of these are really practical things that you can implement in your organization. So that's the content we're going to share with you. And I want to just start out by talking about how costly turnover is on an organization. And because when a salesperson leaves, what do you have to do? Well, you have to replace them. So the more your salespeople leave, the more you might be spending on recruiting fees. Of course, training expenses, whether you're using an outside firm and putting them through a commercial training methodology product, or you're paying people to train those resources, which most likely it's going to be a mix. Even if you have some formal training methodology, you're still having to train that person with internal resources, and that can be costly. Even if it's you or a manager who has to kind of tell someone what to do for a period of time before they get ramped up. And when there's turnover, there are deals lost, because there's either deals in progress that salesperson might have been working that you're much less likely to close, or think about all the deals that you lose while that position is open and you're interviewing, and then even deals lost while you've hired and you're ramping up a new salesperson that just isn't performing at their peak or fully yet, right? Deals are lost, customers are lost. A lot of times accounts can be taken away from your company when a salesperson leaves. They have the rapport with the salesperson that you've lost, and now that rapport goes over to another company. Think about all the valuable knowledge that you've invested in this individual, knowledge that you've trained them on, knowledge that they've accrued while working for you. Think about all the knowledge that they have of your company that salesperson takes with them when they leave and go out the door. And a lot of times they go to your competition with knowledge about you. And so it's just so much valuable time across the board that's lost, whether it's time spent interviewing and ramping up or whatnot. The time that you've invested in individuals that is just gone. Now, one thing I want to point out is that most organizations run a lot of financial reports, right? We can run our sales report, the sales we did for whatever period of time. We can look at our costs. How much are we spending on salespeople? How much are we spending on anything, right? Our financial reports. Notice that the majority of these fees, these costs, don't show up in a financial report. Sure, the recruiting expenses do. You can see a line item for how much we're spending on external recruiters, but you don't really see the cost for how much the manager is spending in terms of the time they spend on interviewing. You don't see all the deals that are lost. You could see maybe an opportunity loss report, but that's not going to show up in your financial statements for how much revenue you lost this year from salespeople leaving. And you know what's interesting is it definitely think about the deals you lost this year, which might have been recurring revenue for next year, right? So it's a compounding effect. And the key takeaway there is the majority of the costs that you might be experiencing just doesn't show up. So many people might be unaware of everything they're losing because of turnover. So what I want to talk about first, before we talk about how to decrease turnover, is what causes turnover. And really, the approach that we're going to come from is let's look at what's causing turnover and deal with those individual root causes. So, of course, people leave, salespeople leave an organization voluntarily all the time, right? And why do they leave? Either they're not making enough money, they don't have the career growth that they want, right? So they want more responsibility, maybe more income. They want to move into management. They want to. Most people, especially the good people that you don't want to lose, have some sort of ambition to grow, and they don't see an opportunity for growth at your company. They flat out might not be happy for a number of reasons. Maybe they're not enjoying the job, the company, the management, the team that they're on. They're not developing and improving at all. So that kind of goes to career. That's related to career growth. They might not feel like they're recognized and appreciated. They might not like their manager. They may feel like they chose the wrong job. And we'll talk about some things that can cause someone to feel like they chose the wrong job. But someone actually could feel like they're in the wrong job that you've hired, and they have the skills to be successful. And there's a reason that's something that's preventable, is someone feeling like, you know what, I'm not at the right company, or I'm not in the right job. And you know what, they might not just flat out know what to do. Somebody could be hired and put into a sales position, and they don't really know what to do to be successful. I mean, that happens all the time. You give someone a quota and a territory and say, go make it happen, right? And they don't know what to do to go make it happen. They don't know what to do to hit their quota or to sell. That causes a lot of anxiety and a lot of lack of clarity, and can make someone really unhappy. So those are some reasons why someone might leave on their own. But as you know, sometimes people don't leave because they're asked to leave. There's involuntary turnover. And these are pretty clear cut and dry, but someone might be asked to leave because they're not performing well. They might not be developing and improving as you would like. Maybe they're hard to work with, right? They're not able to follow direction, or they're just unpleasant. You may feel like you hired the wrong person, right? So we talked about someone feeling like they chose the wrong job. You could feel like, you know what, geez, I should have hired that other person. And at the end of the day, they might not be doing the right things to fit into the role, and so you have to let them go. So that there might be a few. I mean, that's not a comprehensive list of reasons why someone might leave, but it's a fairly good list. And so what we can do is, if we want, obviously if you've signed up and you're attending this webinar, then you would like to decrease turnover. And to be honest with you, the managers who aren't really motivated to decrease turnover, because as you can see of all the costs that we discussed, there's a misstep there, right? You should always operate with a level of integrity and attention towards doing what you can to decrease turnover. So instead of just kind of going about your day thinking, I don't want turnover to be high and I want people to stay, another way you can go is a very systematic approach, which is to say, if we can decrease each of these root causes, then we can decrease the symptom of turnover, right? Turnover is a symptom of other problems going on. So let's resolve these problems, and we're going to go through how to resolve those one at a time. So one thing to start with, turnover is people leaving, right? Before you can fix that, you want to fix the people that you bring into the organization. So, I've interviewed for a lot of jobs, and people will research buying a car more than they will research the employee that they're hiring. And hiring an employee is a really big decision, not only because you're making a commitment to them and a long-term commitment, but it's such an investment of your time, right? I mean, if you don't get that decision right, it impacts you, it impacts management, impacts the company. So what can we do to improve recruiting? Well, it's all about asking the right questions when you're interviewing. So, and this isn't going to be a course on interviewing, so I'll just kind of glaze over this, but make sure you're asking the right questions when you're interviewing. And one way to improve that you are asking the right questions is identify the characteristics and qualities of the person that would be successful in the position that you're looking to fill. I mean, are you going to onboard someone and have to teach them a lot of information in a short period of time? If you are, then a characteristic that you might want to look for in somebody is that they have the ability to learn and the ability to be coached, right? I mean, there are some people out there that are great salespeople, but they have to operate their own way, and you can tell that they won't be able to learn a new system. If you have to teach someone a new system, don't look for someone that's more adaptable, right? So that's just one example. Make a list of those characteristics. Do you want someone that has a family? Do you want someone that is more young and more able to travel a lot more? Someone who is outgoing, someone that's more analytical. Think about those characteristics that you need in that person, and then ask the questions to identify if they have those characteristics. But at the end of the day, if you improve how you hire, you can decrease these two turnover causes. One is someone feeling like they chose the wrong job, right? Because if you choose the right person and they have the right skills and all the characteristics, then they're less likely to end up in that position and go, gosh darn it, this is not for me. And then I would also say, and that will help you with that you've hired the wrong person. So start there. Once you've hired people, you might want to look at your organization, identify, do we have the right sales training in place? And it starts with having a structured onboarding process. If you don't onboard a salesperson, that's the key to them being successful. And if they're not successful out of the gate or early, then that's going to have a direct impact on your sales. On your sales turnover. In your sales training, you might want to focus on teaching sales hires what to say and ask when they're prospecting. Most onboarding processes that I've been through personally, they've never really taught you the right questions to ask and what to say when you're prospecting. They more teach you about the products you're selling. So something to help with that is you can provide scripts, you can do role playing, and sales training doesn't just need to happen at the beginning. It can also happen on an ongoing basis. So do recurring training, and then if you do hire outside sales trainers to provide a sales training methodology, you want to reinforce that sales training on an ongoing basis. If you improve and maximize the area of sales training, you can help to decrease a lot of turnover causes. For example, if the better someone's trained, you're able to avoid them not being happy, right? Because people can be unhappy when they don't feel like they know what to do and that they're sort of floundering, or they don't feel like they're growing and developing. Salespeople might leave because they're not making enough money. If you train them better, they're going to perform better, thus they're going to make more money. That you can decrease that anxiety feeling of that they don't know what to do in order to be successful, or that they're not doing the right things, that they chose the wrong job. If they're more successful, you won't feel like you hired the wrong person, and so on. Do you have a level of sales coaching going on in your organization? Now, this is different from training. Training is where we train you what to do and how to do it. Sales coaching is where we work with you on a coaching basis, and coaching is delivered more one-on-one. And this is where one person gets with the other, and let's talk through what's going on, what are the challenges you're having, What's your progress? What do you need to do next to improve? What are you going to focus on next? Now, sales coaching can either be delivered by informally by managers. You're always kind of doing some level of sales coaching, or you can provide formal sales coaching, which is actually having like an external sales coach come into your organization and provide formal structured sales coaching. The benefit to those versus the other is a manager can't really have a true open door coaching session, like a safe room, with an employee that reports into them. The employee might not be able to feel freely communicating everything. So that's something that's good with an external coach. So if you provide more sales coaching, again, you can improve the level of you can decrease salespeople not being happy, them not making enough money, them not performing well, the potential for them not to know what to do, to be doing the wrong things, to feel like they chose the wrong job, and so on. So again, you can decrease a lot of those root causes with simply providing more coaching on an ongoing basis. Do you have the right sales tools? Do you have a CRM in place? I mean, salespeople are often, they don't want a CRM, but a CRM can help salespeople to be more productive. But let's not debate CRM or no CRM, but you might want to look to see if you have one. Another tool is email marketing, right? I mean, email marketing is something maybe provided at a management or company level, but email marketing can help to produce leads, or it can help to drip to cold prospects, right? So think of this as the air support for your troops. Like if you have ground forces on the street, which you literally do with salespeople, feet on the street, right? Your air support, your jets that are overhead that are providing coverage are your tools like email marketing, right? You're going to be able to email market to a large audience and achieve a lot more, and that can create leads and provide and help make the job for the salesperson easier by giving them more warm leads to work on. Are you providing any tools for sales scripts, like some kind of tool that helps them to know what to say and ask? Any automation tools, prospect lists. So when you provide more tools like this, what one root turnover cause that you decrease is you immediately can have an impact that your salespeople aren't making enough money, right? Because if they have better tools and more air support, they're going to have better leads. They're going to be working their leads. They're going to be closing more leads. They're going to be making more money. They're going to be performing better. They're going to feel like they know what to do better because they have more tools to help guide them. They're going to be doing more of the right things, and you're not going to necessarily feel like you hired the wrong person and have to let them go. A branch out of the sales tools is to think about, do you have a sales playbook? Imagine an athletic sports team that's professional operating without a playbook, right? I mean, the level of disorganization, the level of performance, the level of communication will not be good. Most sports teams and most sports have some sort of playbook that they work against, and you can develop one for your sales team. And this might have something like cold call scripts, warm call scripts, lists of key questions to ask to qualify, objection responses. Could be honestly, that can be one of the most powerful pieces of your playbook. Just having responses for your salespeople to use to respond to the objections that they're going to face. You could include email templates, voicemail scripts. If you provide a sales playbook to your salespeople, you can decrease the turnover causes of them not being happy because they feel more armed to go to battle. They feel like you've positioned them for better success. They're not as frustrated. They don't have as much anxiety. They're going to be making more money because they're going to be performing better, so they might not leave because they're not making money. They're also going to be, like I said, performing better. They're going to know what to do because they have that playbook. There's not going to be that anxiety. They're going to be doing the right things. They're going to not feel like they chose the wrong job. You're not going to feel like you hired the wrong person, and they're going to continue to get better and better. I talked a little bit about marketing support. Here's some other areas because we just touched on email marketing, but here's the bigger area of marketing support that you could provide your salespeople. And just to give you an example, I mean, I was a salesperson, a field salesperson for a software company, and we had like no marketing support. So what we could have used, I was doing cold calling as a salesperson, which cold calling could sometimes fall under lead generation under marketing. Uh, Now, I was a fully expensive, benefit loaded, big base, home in terms of compensation salesperson, and here I am grinding it out, making cold calls. That that didn't lead to my ultimate level of success, and it was very costly for the company, so it wasn't the best way for them to slice it up. So you could provide more marketing support. Like in that case, if I had more marketing support, like some of these areas I'll mention to you, I might have been more successful and I might have made more money and I might not have left that organization. But here are some areas that you can focus on. Search engine optimization, so driving more traffic to your website, doing a better job of internet marketing, pay-per-click advertising, email marketing we've already talked about, outbound lead generation, so having a lower level agent, sales person, a less expensive and a lower skilled person doing that outbound lead generation for your very expensive salespeople that you don't want to turn over. Improving your website, participating in events and PR. So if you provide that air support, again, you can decrease your salespeople not being happy because their job is easier. The more you do that, the more leads they're going to get, the less hard marketing they're going to have to be doing, and they're going to be happier. They're going to be making more money. They're going to be performing better. They're going to know what to do. They're not going to feel like they chose the wrong job, and you're not going to feel like you hired the wrong person. Day-to-day management, right? So if you're on this, maybe you're a manager, maybe you have salespeople reporting into you. There are key things that you can do to improve to make your salespeople stay longer. And here's just a list, right? Just look at this list and see if there are any that you can add to what you're doing today. But providing clarity and direction on what your team and your salespeople should do. There's a huge epidemic of sales managers just saying, here's your quota, here are the products, here's some training on the products, go make it happen, right? But the majority of the world doesn't really know exactly what to do. We're all kind of faking it till we make it a little bit. So when you hire someone, they're not gonna necessarily know what to do. So give them guidance, give them direction, give them clarity on how to be successful and what they need to do next. And that could come in the form of your sales playbook or also your sales coaching, but also just how you're managing them and how you're interacting with your salespeople on a daily basis. You also might want to look at, are you making them accountable for anything or for the right things? Look at autonomy. You want to manage and coach and be there for your salespeople, but you don't want to micromanage. So you want to add a little autonomy. And I think the problem that most sales managers go wrong is they don't provide enough autonomy because they don't provide enough clarity and direction, right? So if you just say go make it happen and you don't really tell them how to make it happen, you feel like you have to constantly watch over this person, and if you haven't given them the accountability, so you end up micromanaging them. Well, if you give them direction and they know what to do and they know that they're accountable for it, and you do a lot of the other things, then you can make them more autonomous to be free to do their own thing, right? And along the lines with that comes empowerment. Empowering them to make decisions, empowering them to be the business owner of their territory. Being consistent. So being consistent with the decisions you make, with what you tell them to do, being fair. Being a servant leader, so not being a boss and dictating orders. Being a servant leader is around serving your salespeople. I mean, it's giving them what they need and what they want instead of forcing them to give you what you need and what you want. Encouraging them, rewarding and providing constant recognition, but also enforcing and giving constructive criticism. So I'm all for the stick and the carrot. I'm going to tell you when you did something right and when you did something good, but I'm also going to tell you when you need to do something better. Action planning, project progress tracking, having an open channel for communication, constantly teaching and developing. So if you do some of these, you can make your employees happier. You'll make your employees perform better, so they're going to make more money. They're going to know what to do. They're going to do the right things. They're going to not feel like they chose the wrong job. You're not going to feel like you hired the wrong person, and so on. So they're also one reason sometimes people leave is because they don't like their manager. If you do some of these things, you're less likely to be the hated manager, and your employees will be easier to work with. There may be some room for improvement in terms of how you design your territories. So there's in every sales organization, salespeople get paid on deals and paid on commissions. So this is their life and what they use to feed their families, right? So there can be a lot of like either poaching or arguments or people feeling mistreated when it comes to the deals they get paid on and the deals they get assigned and the leads they get to work. So look at how you've designed your territories, and make sure that you have really defined lines and defined rules of engagement, and make sure that everything's really fair and consistent with who's getting what leads and who's working on what deals and who's getting paid on what, and that can help to decrease your employees not being happy. I don't know how many times I've seen sales reps leave an organization because they didn't get paid on a deal. And you know what? I think that's a flaw. That's a misstep, not just for the company on not paying a deal correctly. That's also a misstep on that salesperson, because a deal is a very getting paid on a deal in most cases is a fairly short-term event, right? Choosing the company you work for and making career decisions have long-term impacts, right? So to make a decision about leaving a company because you're unhappy about a deal, that's a bad decision for a salesperson, but that's not really the topic here today. But so if you improve this area, you can prevent people from leaving because they're unhappy. They might perform better because they're getting the leads that they deserve, and so on. That is a good segue into compensation. So a big thing that I think is aligning what someone gets paid on, right? We're all coin operated. So be sure to align what you're paying someone on with what you want them to do. It's just that simple. I've worked for a lot of companies where either my objectives or my comp plan, it didn't completely align with what they really wanted me to ultimately do. Meaning, like, if they need you to generate new leads and generate new business, have the compensation weighted towards that, versus renewing existing contracts. And so also make sure that the compensation is designed so that the salesperson can impact and control their level of outcome, right? And this has happened to me before, actually, in the past, where I was an account rep on a large account team and I had a huge quota, right? And I worked hard and I sold some stuff, but at the end of the day, I got paid on the account team number. So I really didn't feel like my work impacted what I ended up getting paid on. If I did a great job, it really wasn't going to impact that huge number all that much. And honestly, I could do a mediocre job and still get paid the same because it was such a big team and number. So you want to align the compensation with what that salesperson is doing and can control. And part of that might be breaking down targets and objectives. So I just gave you that example about the large account quota that we got paid on. Break that down to an individual level. Break it down to individual objectives. And also make targets realistic and actionable, right? Realistic and achievable. If your quota is so huge and you know that there's no way you're going to hit it, how that's going to decrease how hard you work or how hard the salesperson works. So of course, compensation, no-brainer there, that these are the levers that you can move up and down to make your salespeople happier, to make them to help them to make more money. You want your salespeople to make as much money as they can if that money is all tied to them delivering results. So if you design your compensation correctly, you're not taking a lot of risk by paying out a lot of commissions. This can help your salespeople to perform better, to know what to do, because they have clarity around, I need to do this in order to make that, and to make my number, and so on. You know, and we're kind of getting in the home stretch here. So, but the one nice touch on managing salespeople is paying attention to their professional and personal development. Right? I mean, we know most companies don't run sweatshops anymore. I think the business world has become more sophisticated over the past 20, 30, 40 years. But you know, your salespeople and any of your employees, they don't likely want to do the job that you have them doing forever, and you should be aware of that, and you should respect that. I've worked in organizations where management did not foster development because they didn't want to lose people. And it's true that when someone develops and they move up and out, you lose them. And that actually does impact turnover. But you would rather have that's someone leaving more on a longer term level than that short term turnover from someone not being happy, right? I'm a firm believer in take care of your people. They're your number one asset. Not only if you help them to develop will they deliver better results while they work for you, but they truly, over the long run, most of the people will work for you longer than they would if you didn't develop them. So be sensitive to this and help them to have visible paths for growing. Design an organization that fosters their growth and their progress. Communicate to them where progress is being seen or where progress is needed, and that can help people to be happier, feel like they're in the right place, and feel like they're improving, feel like they're getting recognition. They might like their manager a little bit better. The other thing is that you can work to try to foster a culture that just is people are happier in, and people stay longer at. And so that can be doing things like creating a more fun work environment, having an environment that might be work hard but play hard, rewarding, having lots of rewards for hard work, whether that's commissions or contests, or making gamifying things, making things real consistent and fair so people feel like they're being well taken care of, operating with a level of honesty and integrity, creating paths for opportunity for growth in your culture, making things challenging from a development standpoint, and that can help people to feel happier and feel like they're making more money, and that they're developing, and that they're doing the right things, that they chose the right job, that they like their management, and that they're easier to work with. So that's just a quick list. I mean, like I said, my hope would be you go through there and see a couple things that you're not doing today and that you add. And if you add 1, 2, 3 of those things, you're going to see a positive impact on your results. So just some key takeaways. Focus on bringing the right people into the organization can definitely help with your turnover, right? If you don't hire bad employees, and there are bad employees out there, right? It takes time and effort to screen the good from bad. There's probably more bad candidates than there are good. So do a good job of hiring better people. That will impact your turnover. Focus on teaching your salespeople what to say and ask. Provide coaching, sales tools, marketing support. Focus on the little changes that you can make to how you're managing someone in terms of day-to-day management, territories, compensation, and build an environment that fosters growth and recognizes performance and results. So let me tie sales scripter, because as you're probably aware, I'm with a company called Sales Scripter, and how we fit into decreasing turnover is we provide that playbook component. So we provide a sort of a software web-based playbook, and it's basically a library of scripts that become custom tailored to your situation for your salespeople, and it does that by the software actually interviews you and allows you to build campaigns, and it does that by asking, okay, what do you sell? How does it help? What problems do you help to fix? What questions should your salespeople be asking to see if those problems exist? And so by the software extracting that great, powerful data from you, then what it does is it builds a playbook. and the playbook can have cold call scripts, email templates, voicemail scripts, objection responses, and a lot more. So you also get tools that salespeople can use when they're making calls, an interactive script. So that's what Sales Scripter is, just kind of at the highest level. Now, if you want more help beyond what we showed you today, here's your first step. Go to our YouTube channel. There's over, and if you, a quick way to find our YouTube channels, do a search for Sales Scripter. And there's over 130 videos. There's a full Sales Prospecting 101 training program. All of these webinars that we do are recorded and pasted there. You'll get a number of sales tips videos and whatnot. When you're there, subscribe, then you'll get notified. I try to upload a video every other day to YouTube, either a short video or a webinar or whatnot. Once you get beyond that, you might want to check out one of our books. So on our website, we have 5 ebooks. Do's and don'ts of cold calling, how to get around cold call objections, how to build a value proposition that generates leads, how to build sales campaigns that sell, how to build email drip campaigns that convert sales. All of those are free. So go to our website and you can get any of those for free. And then I've written a book that's actually on Amazon. It's a paperback book. You could get a Kindle version as well. The good thing about this is this book goes in a bit more detail than our ebooks, and it is $15 on Amazon. The good thing about this book is that it's designed to be a reference manual and something that you can print out and put on your desk and flip to when your salespeople are making calls. It's something great to put on their desk, but actually, and it might help to decrease turnover also. But there's a chapter on objections, there's a chapter on voicemails, there's a chapter on gatekeepers. So it's organized in a way that you don't have to read the book from beginning to end. You can get to the key chapter for the area that you're having trouble with or want to improve. The next step, once you get beyond there, if you're continuing to want help, is sign up for a free 30-day trial of Sales Scripter, our software, our Playbook software. And if you want help filling out your account of Sales Scripter, we do provide a service called a Scripter walkthrough service where we'll go through it, answer all your questions with you for 2 hours and build a campaign. If you want to work with us on, or me personally, from a coaching, consulting, training standpoint, we do have some options available there, so feel free to reach out. And that is it. So here's my contact info. Feel free to email me or call me should you have any questions or want any information. Thanks for attending the webinar, and now I will open it up for any questions